the Chinese Sloppy Stage 2 cam kit has claimed another victim. Hang loose and we'll get into it. So we had a local guy. He he bought a one of them Amazon special cam kits for $300. You know, it comes with everything: cam lifters, springs, push rods, head gaskets, head bolts, timing chain. You know, all that stuff for $300 or $299, whatever that garbage cost. I'll put a picture of it up here. So he gets it all in. You know, he's telling me the story. He gets it all in, goes crank it up, bends all the push rods, and so he's taking heads off and trying to figure out if the pistons are hitting the valves. It's done wrecked a couple of lifters. All the push rods is bent. So apparently, I don't know, he put the stock push rods back in it, bought some more lifters, and put it all back together. It's still something's going on. So like time 3, he's done took it apart 3 times. So he comes down here trying to want me to hold his hand, figure out what's wrong. And so he goes through the scenario, and he's like, "Man, the valve ain't hitting the piston." And I'm like, "Well, I'm sure that it's probably the valve spring. It's probably coil binding." He's like, "No, I done checked. It's good." And I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, the only thing that's gonna do this right here is, I mean, something is something is dead stopping the show. You know, it's something stacking up. It can't be nothing else. And so I told him, I said, "Look, just go take a spring off and bring it to me, and let's just test it, and then we'll know, right? We don't need no more guessing." So I go take a spring. So he goes and gets the spring. He goes takes a couple of springs off, and these are the springs here. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, "Man, that looks like a stock spring." And not only that, you probably can't see it in the video, but one of them springs is like an eighth or 3/16 of an inch taller than the other spring, and both of them is out of the same kit. And I've seen that before. If you go back and look at some of my Chinese valve spring videos, you'll see like we had a brand new box. We bought a box of them off of eBay just to see them, right? And 15 springs were the same height. The one spring was a 1/4 inch taller than all the rest of them. And, we thought it'd be trunk in the garbage, but we just bought some to do a video because people keep buying that $13 crap and then can't understand why it makes it to the stop sign, breaks a valve spring, and murders their new motor. They can't figure that out. So we'll go over to the spring tester, and I'm going to show you, we're going to test the springs, and I'll show you what's going on there. All right, so hopefully you're going to be able to see that, and I'm not going to be in the way. I'm going to try to not be in the way. So what I've done, that is the valve springs that come in the kit. So when I first looked at them, I'm like, "Man, that's a stock spring." But when I checked the pressure, so a standard LS generally is about 1 in 780 installed height, give or take, but usually about 1 in 780. So if we come down, all right, so that's 135 on the seat, which is way more. I mean, a stock spring's like 70 or 80. So it's definitely not a stock spring, but the problem is, so I took the 1,780 and then minus 600 lift, the cam is 585 or 595, I don't remember. And again, nobody's checked it, and the few that I've checked, none of the specs were what they said they were anyway. But that's neither here nor there. So 1 in 180 is max lift, 600 lift. So that's where the spring would be. So if you pull, let me see if I can turn this where you can see better. So this is a stop set to 600 lift. So if we bring the spring down,
So it stacks about right there, and you can see how much room we got. I mean, that's probably 100 thousandths, give or take. So it's already stacked. And I think when I checked it, actually measured it, the spring stacked at like 490 lift. So, I mean, it's just not going to work. Like, I don't even know how that even got in the kit. But I mean, this straight a full kit straight off of Amazon. It come with them junky non-hardened push rods, the wrong springs, and a cam, and some junky Taiwan lifters that blowed up after 5 minutes. So, obviously, ultimately, the spring was the problem the whole entire time.
All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Why in the world you would put? I mean, you would make a spring that'll only handle 480 or 500 lift. I mean, that's like a stock spring. The stock GM spring will handle like 510, no problem. We do no spring cam, and it's 510 at the valve, and we run them all the time on stock springs, no issues. So, but the crazy thing is these springs has got a ton of spring pressure. I mean, it's 135 on the seat. I mean, that's what a 1218 is. But if you put a 12, and I should have opened one. If you put a 1218 beside these, they're taller, the wire is smaller, and there's less coils. So the distance between the coils is much bigger. So we checked because I sold him some 1218, some real 1218s. We checked the coil bind on the 1218, and it was an inch and 70 or an inch and 80. So you could actually run about 630 or 40 lift with a pack 1218, really. I mean, as long as the pressure was good enough for the cam profile, right, to keep the valve train under control. But there's a ton of room, more than, they say. I mean, they say it's 600. It'll run at 630 and have change left over, right? So the next thing is, and I couldn't believe it. I just stuck the push rod. I mean, because like a real push rod, I mean, you can't hardly bend a real push rod. I mean, I stuck this one in a hole on the table, and you can just bend it. I mean, like just nothing to it. I'm like, all right. So we're gonna check the hardness. Let's go over to the Rockwell tester, and we're gonna check the hardness because I checked them already, and it's scary. So here we go.
All right, so we'll check the we'll check the hardness on one of these Chinese push rods. Most of the good stuff's around 50, give or take, but these are absolutely no hardness at all. It's just tubing that they black oxide coated. They have no hardness. Nope, it don't even read. So even just good unheat treated steel tubing is harder than that. So that's very interesting. Oh man, yeah, and you can see, like normally on hardened stuff, I don't know if you can see. So there's a diamond and it makes a dent, and that's how it tells how deep it goes, how hard it is. And most, even just plain steel, won't even dent like that. So I don't know what this junk is, but it is butter soft.
So again, I don't even know how you get them that soft. I mean, this must be like leaded steel to be that soft. Because even just plain steel tubing will check 20, 18 or 20 or something, 22 Rockwell. And these like checked negative. so so I don't even know what that, but again, I mean, like I say, you can just bend them by hand. I mean, they're that soft. And I don't know if you can see it. Can you see? Look at the size of that oil hole. I mean, it's massive. I ain't never seen a pusher out with an oil hole that big either. So, again, just a cautionary tale. I've done several videos on this Chinese garbage, and I know that a lot of people in the comments on some of them said, anybody that's stupid enough to buy that cheap garbage deserves what they get. But a lot of people they really don't know. They don't grasp that you can't make a cam kit for $300. Even in China, and not a good, right? Not one that'll actually live and run. And so, and there's no oversight. These Amazon, all these other places, eBay, Temu is selling this garbage. There's absolutely no oversight. So somebody that don't know any better buys one of these kits, puts it in their motor, and then it wrecks the whole motor. They might get their money back for the kit, but that $300 for the kit ain't fixing to help you replace valves and pistons and whatever else it wrecked. So just be aware that that stuff's cheap, and I know that whole sloppy mindset is cool to, do it on $3 garbage, but there's some things that are just not worth chancing that $3 garbage. At some point, I've got one of them Chinese cams, and I'm gonna cut it in half, and we're gonna check the heat treat pattern, because it looks from the outside, it doesn't look like the whole lobe is actually heat treated. It looks like just some of the lobe is heat treated. So I want to section that cam, and then we can acid it, and then you'll be able to see the heat treat line on the lobe perfectly. And I'm just interested myself. So at some point, I'm gonna do that video. We'll cut it up, and then I'll get it all slicked up. We'll acid it, and I'll try to do all that on camera. But just remember that, this kind of stuff, it's going to eat you lunch. It's cheap for a reason, because they skipped 85% of the process. They went from a piece of tubing to a push rod, and it should have been from a piece of tubing to, the ends formed and heat treated, QC'd and black oxided. We skipped all that part. We just took some tubing and threw it in the box. So, and again, if they hadn't had a spring problem, these would have been running, and they would have just been eating up the ends, and it would have been putting metal all in the motor, because there is no way that soft push rod is not going to destroy itself in the fulcrum of the rocker arm. There's no way. So, hopefully, that was helpful. Share it with all your friends on them junkie LS pages where people's making this silly mistake, and maybe it'll save somebody from wrecking their motor and wasting $300 or $400. Have a good day. See you on the next one.